The fall 2016 anime season is here, and for the most part, in my humble opinion, a lot of the shows are just complete garbage. Just a lot of the same crap that we've seen before, but I have gotten a lot of requests to check out a few different anime series, and the one that I've gotten the most requests for, without a doubt, has to be this brand new anime by the name of Drifters. It's also based on a manga series from the creator of Hellsing. That alone is enough to get me interested in it, but I did no research before jumping into Drifters. I just sort of looked where the episode was, I watched it with a couple of friends, and you know what? It was pretty friggin' awesome. I mean, it was basically just an excuse for a lot of high stylized action and super ultra gory violence, but the overall concept seems interesting. What I will say is, going into this blind was the best way to be introduced to Drifters, because when I first started watching the episode, I thought that it was just going to be just sort of your run-of-the-mill standard war drama set during the Sengoku period. Instead, it's something more akin to, say, Fate Stay Night. In fact, the similarities are a little glaring. The overall, story of Drifters is that apparently there is this fantasy world, and there is this being which actually can summon warriors from various different pieces in history, bring them into this fantasy world where they're going to fight. It's almost exactly like Fate Stay Night. It's only the execution that is different, and the execution is pretty freaking awesome. The story of the very first episode introduces three of the major characters, the first one being Toyohisa. Toyohisa is this really badass swordsman, and they really demonstrate a lot of his abilities at the beginning of the episode during this big, massive battle scene, which is basically just an excuse for hardcore kick-ass violence, so if you're into that stuff, this one's definitely gonna satiate your needs. And let me just say this before I forget about it. You can definitely tell that this is from the creator of Hellsing. Every single, facial expression looks like some sort of character from that series. So Toyohisa is in the middle of this massive battle. He's fighting against this other army and just completely wrecking their shit. There are a lot of scenes where he's able to take out multiple people with just a few swings, and they always just explode in this massive flurry of blood. You're gonna see limbs chopped off, people stabbed in the neck, and straight up decapitations all up in this bitch. I especially love the scene where he's getting ready to go up against this big commander, and he allows himself to get, stuck with all of these spears, impaled multiple times, just so he can pull out a pistol and take out this guy at point-blank range. It was awesome, and it should have been the death of the character. Now this is where things get interesting. Toyohisa is supposed to die, but instead of dying, he ends up going to this weird, mysterious world where there are all of these doors on the left and right side of the walls, all of these stone doors, and right in the middle of this white room is this guy with glasses smoking a cigarette, working at a desk, typing on a typewriter, and he doesn't say a freaking word when suddenly Toyohisa is thrown through one of these doors that sucks him in, and it takes him to this fantasy world filled with people with fairy ears. So apparently these people who travel from these various periods are known as drifters, and Toyohisa even meets up with a couple of drifters thanks to these two elf kids who bring him to this one place, and one of them just so happens to be Oda Nobunaga, who is a very famous warlord. Not to mention this other very androgynous character by the name of Yoichi. I didn't know if Yoichi was a dude or a chick at first, but it's a dude. Dangly parts. Toyohisa, of course, is incredibly confused because to him, Nobunaga should be dead, and Yoichi is hundreds of years old when compared to them even, so there's definitely something really strange going on here, and they've been swept up into some sort of weird magical war for reasons. All I know is this is basically just the introduction to the very concept of the series, and the fact that there's a being that is able to pull warriors from various areas and put them in these different dimensions to do battle. There's even a dude who looks like a Vietnam soldier who, appears in this episode, so that leads me to believe that we're going to see historical figures from all different types of places, which I think is going to be really awesome. I cannot wait to see who they're going to choose. This is basically going to be history doing battle with history. So what's the rundown on the very first episode of Drifters? I have to say the first episode was pretty awesome. Not only did it open up with a really engrossing and stylistic action scene, but the premise just completely blew me away halfway through. The minute when Toyohisa appeared in that white room, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? There was no intro to indicate what was going to be going on in this series. So going in blind made this a really good surprise, and something that I cannot wait to see now. I'm really anxious to see what the next episode's going to be about and how he's going to work with these other drifters who've been transported to this fantasy world. The fantasy element, of course, is what's going to make this even more interesting, but I'm really anxious to see what other sort of historical figures we're going to see, and I hope they pick them from a lot of different diverse groups, as I'd just like to see the interactions between these figures. I just think it'd be something that'd be really damn awesome. That being said, the show itself was pretty good in terms of the animation and the artwork. Nothing too mind-blowing, but it's just stylistic enough to really hook people in with the very first episode. Like I said, though, the character designs are just so reminiscent of Hellsing, it's kind of strange. Like, Toyohisa is basically Alucard with slightly shorter hair, just wearing a completely different outfit. The personalities, of course, are a little bit different, but it's definitely got a lot of that tried and true Hellsing style to it, which honestly, I'm okay with. But like I said, the best thing about the first episode for me was that I didn't know what it was about. I thought it was just going to be a war drama, and it ended up transforming into this sort of like fantasy sci-fi type series. It's got a really nice hook, and while it's not the most inventive hook, it's definitely doing it with a lot of style. I will say though, there is a lot of Japanese historical stuff in this episode that I just don't get. Simple as that. Names, places, battles. You have to realize, I do not know much about Japanese history. Simple as that. I watch a lot of Japanese cartoons. Hell, I still have problems pronouncing certain things. That's just the way it is. So that is going to be sort of a struggle, I think, for some viewers. I know this first episode was for me. The good thing is it did not diminish what I liked about the very first episode, and I think it was a pretty fantastic first episode. So good, in fact, that it actually went by real quick. When it ended, I was like, really? That's it? We don't get any more? We don't get anything else? Ah! And basically, it was at that point that I realized, damn it! Now I'm going to have to watch the next episode. And that's something that I think is really good about an anime series, when you want to watch the next episode. So, Drifters Anime Episode 1 was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I don't want to give the series a score quite yet, though. I want to watch a couple more before I start giving out some scores. What I will say is, I think I'm going to continue to watch the show. I've gotten hundreds of messages and emails to check this one out, so thank you guys for bugging me about it, because it honestly was a pretty damn cool show. So there it is, my thoughts on the very first episode, but I want to hear from you guys. Clearly, you guys were excited about this show. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you love about the very first episode? And what do you hope to see from this brand new series, Drifters? You guys are awesome! Thank you for watching this review, I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, and like the video. Thank you again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!